how to contribute to the healing of the world that is so desperately needed at this time. The year 2020 marks a line in the sand for humanity. Clearly, we are in an evolutionary moment of seismic change, and if we do not fix things now, there may well be nothing at all to fix in the future. We know we cannot go on any longer living in this broken and dysfunctional way. There is too much suffering, too much pain, too much brokenness. We must find a new and a better way forwards. This new way forwards is a radical and fundamental transformation of our consciousness. Such a transformation is traditionally called an awakening. It is a shift to a higher level of consciousness and an awakening to a power greater than ourselves. By undergoing our spiritual awakening, we allow ourselves to be guided by the higher power of God in order to become the best and truest version of ourselves, to live our best life with deep meaning and higher purpose, and to live with profound and sacred concern for everyone else on the planet and for the planet itself. When we do wake up in this way, we discover that the whole meaning and purpose of life is, in fact, to awaken to our truth as beings of love belonging to love itself. Awakening is an entirely natural life event from which we have become estranged with disastrous consequence. The way forwards does not lie only with governments and world leaders. Rather, it lies with each of us, individually committing to this transformation in our own lives, committing to a transformation of the consciousness that informs how we live individually and collectively, and that most especially informs how we treat this beautiful planet we should feel blessed to live on, but which instead we desecrate and destroy. It becomes imperative, therefore, to identify the consciousness from which we are currently operating, the one that produces this broken and dysfunctional world, and to identify the higher consciousness from which we need to be operating if we are to live our best lives. Our current consciousness, the one we have been operating from for the past 2,500 years in the West, is rational intellectual consciousness. The consciousness we need to be operating from instead is spiritual consciousness. Since the time of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, the dominant consciousness of Western culture has increasingly been the intellectual, scientific, egoic consciousness that first emerged for humanity between 800 to 200 BCE and culminated in the Enlightenment of the 17th and 18th centuries. The phenomenal gifts of the intellect are undeniable and have allowed for unimagined progress in nearly every walk of life, although not for everybody. What has become manifestly evident, however, is that the better life we long for, individually and collectively, simply cannot be achieved at the current level of consciousness. If it could, it would surely have come about by now. When reasoning first emerged, the thinkers and philosophers of the day wrongly determined that reason had come to replace all that had gone before it. Blinded by the brilliance of reason, beside which spirit looked primitive, they failed to appreciate that the gift of reason was an evolutionary unfolding designed to complement our natural spirituality rather than to supplant it. Our newly rational consciousness ought to have been integrated with our pre-existing spiritual consciousness, but was instead allowed to replace it. We thought we could live on the track of reason alone, but our rationally oriented, materialistic, secular, broken, and dysfunctional culture and civilization gives the lie to that idea. Aristotle's famous definition